Welcome back to the Packy Run podcast. My name is AJ Lagambina.
And I am your co-host, Dan Mayotte.
Dan Mayotte.
Yes.
We're back. We're back. We had a interesting night last night, which I think is really all that needs to be said here on the podcast. No one won. Everybody lost.
Yeah, we don't want to get into it tonight.
Yeah, not on this episode. It was just brutal to watch.
We want to get into some lighthearted things, and not experience existential dread.
Indeed. So we'll just stick with what we know. Which is Patriots analysis.
Yep.
And Green Day album.
Yeah, you guys voted on Insomniac, the follow-up to Dookie by Green Day. And it's kind of fitting because a lot of the themes in Insomniac kind of are about dread and anxiety and depression. And that is what we probably all feel like after watching a debate like that last night.
That's true. We might as well start where we usually start. So, Dan, what are you drinking?
Since the afternoon, I'm keeping it light. Drank a little bit last night, but no hangover for this afternoon. But
no debate drinking games for either of us.
So I am drinking Trader Joe's pumpkin pie ginger beer. The local Trader Joe's near me also sells liquor, like Trader Joe's branded liquor. So I do have a bottle of some Trader Joe's whiskey that I picked up for $14. But
Trader Joe's has whiskey?
They have whiskey, they have tequila, they have vodka.
But no beer or wine.
Oh, of course.
Because it's the state of Massachusetts.
I don't know what is with like Trader Joe's and like how they're able to finagle their way around it. But the local Trader Joe's that I have has like beer, wine, and liquor at it.
What?
Yeah, I know. That is like unheard of in Massachusetts. For those who are outside of the Massachusetts area, they have some of the strictest liquor laws because of the Puritans and some of who are they? Just like very Catholic. A lot of blue laws.
Yeah.
Places closed on Sundays. A lot of dry cities too. That you can't buy. They don't have any alcohol. No liquor stores, no restaurant can serve alcohol. But I guess in Brookline, Massachusetts, which is like down the street from me, the Trader Joe's, they have liquor, they have whiskey and vodka. But I'm not drinking whiskey today. Today it is almost 3:00 in the afternoon, and I'm drinking some pumpkin pie ginger beer.
It is 1:45 in the afternoon, and actually just before we started recording this podcast, I was talking to my cousin Patrick, who mentioned that one of the most beautiful things about being an adult is sometimes it's the middle of the day and you don't have much else to do and you can just crack open a beer. And that inspired me to sit back during the recording of this podcast and drink the champagne of beers, Miller High Life. Which, it's Miller High Life. We don't even really need to get into it. But I will say, of all the beers, I really do like their branding. I like the kind of like diagonal strip that they use to put, all the information, the champagne of beers and the kind of scripty font. So
yeah.
It's a great looking beer. It leaves something to be desired on the taste sometimes, but what do you want for nothing?
That is true. I have that in my fridge too, but I just want to...
It's a staple.
Just want to what?
It's a staple.
Yeah. I mean, it's either that or PBR.
Yeah, pretty much. So, that covers drinks. Let's talk about this past Sunday. It does not roll off the tongue at all. The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yes.
And the New England Patriots.
It was a lot closer of a game than what the score would tell. I mean, the Raiders were fighting the whole time. They were fighting Patriots the whole time. There were a couple key things that definitely I didn't like the looks of. They gave up some big plays. There were some mistakes being made. But ultimately, the Raiders ended up making more mistakes, and that is why we came out with a win. Bill knows how to coach and knows how to get those guys ready and prepared.
Yeah, it was the first half of that game was a little bit ugly, and then we really started to see some production out of, the run game and everything else. Unusual for Bill Belichick to use up all 3 of his timeouts so early in the second half, and all because they needed to be used to avoid defensive penalties.
Yeah, I mean, that was worrisome to see. I definitely didn't like the looks of that. That made me that got me worried for a little bit, because usually Bill has a good handle on that, and he knows how to put his players in the right position to win. And I guess taking those timeouts worked out in the end, but they should have already known what position they were going to be at.
Yeah, and part of me thinks, I know it was week 3, but there is part of me that still kind of thinks that that's what we saw there was just kind of a byproduct of not having a preseason. We didn't have the ability to actually, fully prepare going into this season.
Right.
So I think that and that's going to reveal itself kind of in and out. I think for the next couple of weeks will be the just some of those downfalls that we may not have necessarily seen. I mean, the teams are still trying to get back on their feet and really get into the thick of a season. Oh, so yeah, the Pats, they're gonna have a couple of stumbles. I think that's just how these things work without a preseason. I'm not super worried. I'm actually
especially with all the opt-outs too. Like, we have so many linebackers and different players who are missing. There's going to be at least a couple missteps here and there.
I think that's right on the money. But I'm actually less concerned about playing Kansas City than I was the last time we played Kansas City. I think this is a team that's going to give them a real run for their money, especially considering the fact that Kansas City is dealing with a short week.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I hope, for my sake, I hope the Patriots win, because they're playing on my birthday, first off. So that's something I want.
Careful. Last time the Patriots played on my birthday, I went to actually see them, and they got their heads handed to them. So,
but I mean, the Chiefs looked good on Monday night against the Ravens, and the Ravens are, I mean, they're probably the second best team in the AFC as of right now.
And the Ravens were supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread this season, and they just collapsed. They could not get anything done on either side of the ball. And welcome to Patrick Mahomes' NFL, I guess.
Yeah, he's the best player in the NFL right now.
What a fun, easy game.
He does sound like Kermit the Frog.
He sounds exactly like Kermit the Frog.
But he's younger than both of us, and he has way more money than us. We'll ever more money
than we're going to see in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
I mean, he deserves it. I mean, he's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, no look throws, scrambling. He's just can't. The kid can barely be stopped, which is part of the reason why I think maybe our big move before the trade deadline should come from the defensive side.
Yeah, I think looking at this team currently and the way that we played Russell Wilson, like, we were able to get Russell Wilson out of the pocket a couple times there, but he was able to escape or throw it away. That was expected. Russell Wilson is a very mobile quarterback and knows how to manipulate that. Derek Carr is not that. And there were a lot of moments in the Patriots game where we were trying to get them off the field, and we couldn't do that. And I think a pass rusher would benefit this team greatly. We need that person to just get after the quarterback and sack them, and not have them go for a big run or just an incomplete pass. I want actual sacks.
Yeah, I want Chase Winovich to get a lot of sleep this week. and have lots of dreams about more strip sacks and then make it happen against Patrick Mahomes.
And Dedrick Wise with the strip sack in the end zone. That was fantastic.
That was beautiful. Despite the fact this was, of the 3 games that we've played, I think this was the least fun of the games. This one felt like a kind of classic Patriots just slugging back and forth with the other team. The second half of the game was clearly kind of more dominant for us, but it felt a little bit more like the past couple of years where we've had to earn everything that we get.
Yeah.
As opposed to even that loss to the Seahawks was... Right. That was just fun to watch, and the fact that it came down to less than a touchdown is just indicative of what the team is and the potential that's there. We just need to shuffle around some pieces, and we need to make sure that everybody's on the same page so we're not wasting timeouts.
Yeah, absolutely that. I was a little bit worried about us converting third downs this week. Let me see. For third down efficiency, we had 3 for 11. That's not going to win us a lot of games. And there were lots of moments in the game that forced us off the field. So if we can be a little bit more efficient on those third downs, maybe not run it as much, maybe we can pass it. There were a couple moments where Cam, and I appreciate it, he didn't try to go for the extra play. He kind of gave himself up maybe a little too soon for some of those for me.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a byproduct of Cam coming into this system. I think Carolina Panthers Cam probably would have done that. I think this Cam is really trying to milk this season for everything he can get. And part of that philosophy is going to involve kind of having to restrain himself sometimes and really be that kind of team player. The downside of swaying too far towards that is that we end up with a little bit less efficiency.
Right.
I think the positive really lies in the player and watching him be able to come into this team with no preseason and play 3 games and be really everything that the Patriots need under center. It's hard to be mad at him about that. It's just about striking that balance.
Yeah. And for the most part, he did what he was supposed to do. He got us the win. Rexburg had a huge game for him. He was a big part of the offense. And I remember seeing all over Patriots Twitter, people were like, oh, so can the people who wanted Rex Burkhead to be cut, can you please stand up?
Yeah. Let us lambaste you, please, because that was a beautiful, beautiful showing by him.
He's not going to be the every down back, and he was a good change of pace between Sony Michel and also JJ Taylor as well.
That's true. So now we've said it for a couple of weeks now, and I think we talked about it in a similar fashion going into the season. Now it's just a matter of, okay, where do we want to introduce a new piece to this? I think it's clear that there's a piece missing. I think there's a pretty good debate as to whether, which side of the ball we need that piece on. But I think we are really only a piece away from having an actual threat, at the very least in the AFC.
Right. I'm excited for this game on Sunday. It's going to tell us a lot. The Seattle game said a lot that we can compete with some of these teams, like a playoff team. Can we compete with the Super Bowl champs and Pat Mahomes? I think we can. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I expect it to be... It's going to be a 1-score game no matter what.
I think so.
And I think it could go either way. I think it could go Patriots. It could go Chiefs. I think it will be more of a high-scoring game. I think realistically, I could see 28-31.
Yeah, that doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility. I think that Kansas City's defense has been bailed out by their offense more often than not.
Yeah, they have all the weapons in the world. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, who is one of the fastest people in the NFL. They have Travis Kelce. They have Harmon. They got the new running back that they just drafted. He's been great.
Yeah, there's no denying that they've got the most impressive squad on the offensive side of the ball. It's just, if we can I think it's going to come down to, it's going to come down to our offense here. It's really going to come our defense is I'm not as confident in their ability to stop Mahomes as I am in our ability to make some interesting plays and put some points on the board against the Kansas City defense.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's going to come down to who makes the most mistakes, just like any other game. As long as Cam doesn't turn the ball over, Cam is like making smart decisions, and
I think time of possession too.
Right. We controlled the clock versus the Raiders, and the Raiders there were some drives there that they were moving pretty quickly down the field. I would expect the Patriots to be run heavy this week as well. Look for Sony Michel, look for maybe James White will be back, but I don't know. Like, James White, take all the time you need. Like, I know your family is like having a hard time.
Exactly.
So family comes first in this regard. So take care of them, buddy.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of the games to watch for sure. And it's also probably worth noting the issues that the Tennessee Titans and Pittsburgh Steelers are going through right now. It's the first time this season that we're really starting to see the pandemic hit the NFL. And I think that's going to maybe throw a wrench in the gears if it gets too out of hand.
Absolutely.
Although it's been well documented that I don't give a damn about the flaming thumbtack Tennessee Titans. Like, if they get COVID, I'm sorry. I don't want anybody to get sick. I'm not wishing ill on any individual player, but like, if they have a couple of players that are sick and they can't play anymore, I'm not gonna be sorry for them.
Oh man, like. I just hope it doesn't screw up the schedule and hopefully nobody from the Minnesota Vikings got anything as well. I hope
that was the third team. I couldn't remember. I know that the Steelers were involved. I know that somebody in the facilities.
Well, the Titans are facing the Steelers this week.
Okay, so that was the question, was whether or not that game was going to be able to go on. It was the Vikings and the Titans where that became an issue. Okay.
I think as we're talking, it's been postponed from what I have read. Huh. The NFL is coming down hard, which they should on this. They're threatening suspensions, a forfeit of draft picks if you don't wear your mask, which a lot of the head coaches have been fined already for not wearing their mask and
or not wearing it correctly.
Or not wearing it correctly. Yeah, Bill, come on. He has that Subway money now, so I love seeing those commercials.
I love the GIFs that have been made from the commercial itself, and then Subway also released a few as well. There's that man's a national treasure.
Yeah, he is.
Cutting the sleeves off the dude in the shirt.
He's like, you look better.
You look better. He taps him on the arm and just walks off.
Bill never looks good.
That's right. That's right up there with Jake from State Farm and the AT&T girl, Flo the Progressive girl, J.K. Simmons doing the Farmers Insurance commercials. Subway should just keep bringing Belichick back.
Yeah,
I love that idea. I'm perfectly fine with that. Anything else in NFL news?
Nothing that I can think of at this moment. Hopefully we get a good slate of games this week and they actually go on.
True. Congratulations, pivoting here. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The least shocking Stanley Cup win, I think, in a while.
They were hungry. They wanted it. They were so good last year, and they were just, like I kept saying, they were pissed that they lost in such an embarrassing fashion that they wanted to redo what they did last year.
Yep.
Isn't that who the Bruins lost to?
Yeah, it was a knockdown drag out for 5 or 6 games. And Tampa Bay came out on top. They were just the better team overall. And you could see it. You could see it for the rest of the playoffs, which I didn't pay all that much attention to, but tuned in a couple of times. That team wanted it, and they wanted it bad.
Yep. To no one's surprise, to pivot again, the Red Sox fired their manager. Obviously, no surprise there. Like, the Red Sox were terrible this year.
Pitiful.
They were kind of set up to fail this year. From what I saw, there was no chance that they were going to be good. But also, we expected the hitting to be at least somewhat there. JD Martinez never showed up.
Nope.
He never showed up, and our pitching never had any sort of cohesion. There was no pitching.
Yeah, there was just nothing going on there for anybody. It was a little bit embarrassing, but I think it's in the past now. Let's find ourselves another manager. Let's take this off season and figure out what to do between now and the spring.
Yeah, hopefully we focus on some pitching this year.
I think we need to.
That's all I can hope for. We haven't had a dominant pitcher since Pedro. I think that's a fair assessment to make. Like,
I'm all right with that.
We need someone who can actually dominate a game and can bring us a couple W's. There's talks about Alex Cora coming back. I don't see that happening after all the cheating scandals and everything that happened with that.
Yeah, he seems a little radioactive, but I suppose stranger things have happened. I mean...
You know what I'm pissed off about? I have a picture, like an autographed picture from him when he was a player with the Red Sox. And I was like, he became manager, I was like, oh, yes, like, hopefully this will be worth something. And then he wins the World Series and then subsequently gets fired from it. So this piece of paper that I have is worth nothing. Nothing at all.
That's your baseball memorabilia is your stock market, and you made a bad investment.
Well, I got this as a gift like probably 15 years ago. I want to say, like, I got this when I was like a young kid. But I've also heard Jason Varitek's name coming around.
I think that was in the cards a while ago too. There were some talks about that, and I'm not mad at that idea.
I like Jason Varitek. He was a captain. He knows the organization very well. He knows what is expected from the Boston media and the fans as well. And he is a fan favorite.
I would not be mad.
And he's not controversial. Like, yeah, we've had some fan favorites in the past, like Manny Ramirez, but Manny Ramirez wouldn't be a manager of any sorts. He's actually have you heard about this? Like, Manny Ramirez is actually trying to get back into playing baseball.
Wasn't he playing in like a Japanese league or something? Wasn't that the thing that was going around?
He was, and they released him, and now he's like back trying to play in like another league. The man's like in his like 50s at this point, late 40s.
Good luck to him in the Red Sox. Yes.
I mean, good for him. I love Manny Ramirez.
Even staring down the barrel of 50, he's still Manny being Manny.
Of course he is.
I would expect nothing less, and I love him all the more for it.
Oh yes, same. Anyways, we after talking about some of the sports, we're gonna shift to our next segment. Does it hold up? And we asked you on social media. It was between two follow-up albums to kind of, I would say, like two of the most iconic rock albums from the 90s. There was Pinkerton, the follow-up to the Blue Album by Weezer, or Insomniac, the follow-up to Dookie by Green Day.
And we saw where in the political realm we have not seen democracy in action. We saw democracy in action with choosing what content you guys want to hear out of us. So You guys chose Insomniac. I think it's a good choice. It's I'll say that both Pinkerton and Insomniac are, I won't say severely underrated, but they are firmly underrated.
Well, I mean, and they are both considered, at least in the time that they were both released, they were severe disappointments in the eyes of fans and media.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Pinkerton now at this point, like in the year 2020, has now been like a cult favorite and is now considered one of the best Weezer albums of all time. But Insomniac, I would say there are some people that are like, oh, like it is better than Dookie and it's the best Green Day record that they have written. We're going to explore that.
Yeah. So we'll jump in with a little bit of history. Insomniac came out October 10th, 1995. Like you said, it was the follow-up album to their breakout major label debut, Dookie. It's Dookie Part 2. As far as sound goes, they brought back Rob Cavallo as a producer.
Yep.
You hear kind of, I mean, that Dookie guitar tone. I mean, they sell guitar pedals that emulate this guitar tone now. It's, it's still a staple of Green Day. Billy Joe Armstrong still records with a lot of times this same exact rig. It is the quintessential Green Day sound. It's the same three members writing very similar song structures. It's lyrically, it's a little bit of a departure. And I will say it's a little bit crazy that it's a 32-minute album, but there are 14 tracks.
That is incredible. Cause like, I remember I was like listening to it and I was like, oh, that's it. Like, I'm done. Oh, I was like, oh, okay. That's interesting. There were a couple, like we mentioned this earlier about, or at least I did, about how Pinkerton and also Insomniac were kind of the disappointments, and not in, like necessarily in the fans' eye, but also in the media. Like, for example, Entertainment Weekly said, Insomniac does make you wonder about Green Day's growth, though. Between albums 1 and 4, The Clash, to take an old school example, branched out the guitar crunch to guitar, reggae, dub, and pop. To comparison, Green Day sound exactly the same from their first album, albeit to a crispier production and obviously a denigration in the sense of humor. A few hints of growth and fairly microscopic, a tougher metallic edge to the few songs and the lyrics that are bleaker than Dookie's.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much a there's a couple of hints throughout the album, a couple of little kind of pokes and jabs at, their big major label debut that they had released not that long before. I think it was only like a year and a half between Dookie and Insomniac.
Right. Yeah.
But it was not like it wasn't like Nirvana releasing Nevermind and then following that up with In Utero, which was just kind of like a giant departure.
Somebody was trying to compare this album to In Utero, and I quite frankly have to disagree with it full-heartedly.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what we were talking about last week with Taking Back Sunday. This is, like, through my musical, like, head canon, this follows that like Linkin Park style of album progression, where the big breakout album is one thing and then you have to follow it up, and instead of going with any kind of real big departure, you just do the same thing with some tweaks.
Right. And
in this case I don't think those tweaks are necessarily better.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And knowing what we know now about Green Day, first off, they write songs nonstop. They've put out, like, how many albums at this point in their career? They've put out a new album this year that I definitely haven't listened to.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that they've lost it a little bit.
But I mean, with Nimrod right afterwards, and then you had Warning, and then American Idiot, which I think that's the first punk record I think a lot of kids our age have gotten into, and I think that's a fair assessment to make.
Well, yeah, I think just the absolute takeover that album had at that time with the message that it had. I think it's really easy for a lot of like punk rock fucking like lifers to write that album off. But I think 2004 to write that album and to have it go the way that it did and to have it resonate the way that it did, to be that huge, range, while still, I mean, it still has the guitar tones from 1994. It's still like, it's the same. They really have stuck with the same formula more or less for their entire career.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this is a really great example of that on a much shorter timeline than the difference between, you know, American Idiot and what was the album after that? I think it was 2007 or 2009. 21st Century Breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like they keep kind of refining the sound in different ways, but it's like everything is still Green Day.
It's very simple songs.
Yeah, it's those power chords through those two different Marshall amps, and really, I'll say that this band, from a drumming perspective, has always been really impressive.
Trey Cool kills it every single time. He that's what makes that band. I mean, and you listen to the early records, like you listen to Kerplunk, it doesn't, and then you hear the drumming on Dookie, they don't even compare. It's not the same band.
Yeah, it's a completely different beast.
Trey Cool like wrapped that band like up and made them better. I mean, Mike Dirt, he is great bass player. I love his little bass parts here and there that he adds to it. Makes it interesting to listen to, and you can hear it. It's not drowned out by all the other instruments. The bass is pretty defined in there. And then Billy Joel and his lyricism and rhyming, like he loves to rhyme. And makes it, he does a great job of coming up with melodies that get stuck in your head.
Yeah. So they put out this album in the wake of Dookie. It was it seems like at the time it was like pretty well received, but it was kind of seen as a little bit of a regression. The only song that really is still like a staple of like set lists for the band is Brain Stew.
That's only to get the crowd pumped though.
Yeah, because that little guitar riff, just the stuttering that's fantastic songwriting.
Yeah.
But it's but you know, the album's there. It's not usually it's not the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's fine considering how much other stuff this band has.
You want to get into the meat and potatoes?
Yeah.
All right. So to start off this record, we got Armitage Shanks.
Armitage.
Mm-hmm.
Armitage Shanks. Sounds like a ridiculous cartoon character. Just Armitage Shanks.
Like a supervillain.
Yeah. I'm Armitage Shanks, and I'm going to take over the world.
I mean, as far as openers go, I mean, it's very catchy, very fast, very short, and it gets right to the point. There's no mincing words here. There's no fat to it. There's no filler in that song in that sense.
Yeah, it's just a straight up. Yeah, it's a Green Day song. It's fast. It's got that kind of intensity. The lyrics are kind of simplistic, but it's like everything is really just like you said. This band really does find a great way a lot of the time to just cut the fat out and just get right to the heart of the matter.
Yeah, they don't mince words. They're like, yep, this is what we're all about here. Like, that's it. Like, and as far as an opener goes, like, I think there are a couple better songs on this record that they could have set out and opened it with. Is it better than either one of the previous records that we looked at as far as openers go? I think it's debatable. Yeah,
I think that there are some better songs in like the canon of music that could overtake this as far as openers go, but it does feel like if the goal of the opening song on an album is to just kind of stick your flag in the sand and go, this is what this is going to be for the next half an hour, it does a pretty good job of doing that. The chorus is only 2 lines, which is kind of crazy. Just, I must insist on being a pessimist. I'm a loner in a catastrophic mind. Yep. Okay. So we're going a little bit darker than Dookie was with, you know, the name of the album is Dookie.
Yeah. I mean, a name for poop.
Exactly. And then, you know, the name of the band is Green Day. It's, you know, their name is a weed reference. Like this is a band that has lyrically it seems like a lot of this album is kind of a lyrically is where you see some of the pushback and some of the growth, I think, for the band, where they can easily be kind of painted into a corner in this first part of their existence as just being, oh, they're the band with the weed name, and their album title is a poop joke. And they write about, am I just paranoid or am I just stoned? And then to come out with this and just to be like straight to the point and kind of doing that, like not emo, but just like kind of looking inside of yourself kind of point of view. I guess that is a little bit of a departure for this band.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it has the classic rhythm and melody that Billy Joel was like showcased in many other songs beforehand and afterwards. It's pretty standard. It's pretty much how a lot of Green Day songs are structured, even today.
Oh yeah, it's so funny. So this is one formula. Of my it is, and it's one of my least listened to Green Day LPs, which makes it really funny to listen back to in anticipation of this podcast, and to sit there and be like, oh, like I recognize that riff. Yep, that melody's been used before. Oh, this sounds very much like a lot of the production on here, obviously having Rob Cavallo back and everything else is like, oh yeah, yep, mid-90s Green Day, there are those Marshall amplifiers, like it's a Green Day album, for better and for worse.
Yeah, and it's not the worst, but decent opening to the album. I don't think it wouldn't be my pick for the opener. But coming up next, there is the second track is Brat. Starts off with a little bit of singing before the rest of the band comes in. A lyric that really stands out to me is my parents' income interest rate is gaining higher clout. I'm a snot-nosed snob without a job. I just think that's very relatable, even in today's sort of like climate, where you're dealing with parents that are doing so much far better off than you ever will, and you're kind of like this snot-nosed like low-life kid.
Yeah, and there's a reason, if there's one kind of overarching theme to this entire album, it seems like kind of the narrative around this album is, okay, this was a little bit of a misstep for the band, which led to kind of diminishing returns as the 90s went on, and, the band was kind of written off until they came back in 2004 with American Idiot. But, The reason why this band has this longevity is that ability to just, cut to the chase at least a couple of times on every single album. So the idea of this song is that, like you were just describing, that dichotomy between your parents and you, and it's very relatable, especially for two kids like us, where we're trying to pursue careers in music and things like that, which is so foreign to anybody who's tried to climb a corporate ladder or has worked in more quote unquote traditional kind of jobs.
Right.
This is a really good, minute and 44 seconds, I think, of just making that point in a song with some pretty simple poetry and big guitar sounds. And welcome to Green Day.
What I like about this is it's very upbeat, but it's dark content. It's it's not like a dark upbeat riff. It is a kind of, in some sort of way, a sarcastic, happy riff, if that makes any sense.
Which has worked for every pop songwriter ever, is set up for at least a potential hit when they do that. Happy or energetic music with really critical or emotional, I struggle to say it when I'm talking about Green Day, but quote unquote deep lyricism with that as kind of the backing track. Every time, that's a winning formula. The first one that comes to my mind is Bruce Springsteen with Born in the USA. That's a perfect example of that. That's that big upbeat song, but with dark lyrics that are actually very critical of the United States. Yep.
And everyone just thinks of it as a F yeah America, but it's not. It's a
at all.
We're kind of messed up here.
Yeah, exactly. Which leads us into Stuck With Me.
Which this was the second single for this album, and I would say this is one of the weakest singles in this whole band's discography.
Definitely. It's
It should not have been a
one of the
single.
weaker it shouldn't. I fully agree. It's just it doesn't have kind of the weight behind it to make it a single, especially for a band that was fairly established on radio at this point in their career. But you do have to kind of admire the just kind of the back to basics punk rock of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Just the opening line, "I'm not part of your elite, I'm just all right. Class structures, waving colors, bleeding from my throat. Not subservient to you, I'm just all right. Downclassed by the powers that be, give me loss of hope." Like, a little bit cringy, yeah. It's still showing that this is, like, at its core, a three-piece punk band. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the strong structure in that's fine. It just doesn't have that hook. And I think
absolutely,
like, Green Day is really good at coming up with those hooks that you can sing along to, and this doesn't have it. As like somebody who works in music marketing, this would be a very hard single to try to pitch to prospective like publicists or like potential bloggers and other people. I mean, their name alone would get them press, and I think this song kind of rode the coattails of the success of Dookie.
Yeah.
Which we kind of see that throughout this album. They're kind of riding the coattails of the success of Dookie. And maybe that's harsh to say, but I think it's the reality of it all. Just my opinion.
Yeah, they don't really branch out from the Dookie formula. They just do what they know.
And maybe it was pressure from the record label to try to get them to put out more music. I mean, they probably wanted to fulfill their contract and wanted Green Day to do what they were supposed to do. But like, it was just, this doesn't feel like a single to me.
No.
Which leads to our next song on it, Geek Stink Breath, which is actually the first single on this record, I do believe.
Yep. And it's supposedly a song about a methamphetamine addict. It seems kind of apparent, not only because it uses the actual word methamphetamine, but also just the kind of drug abuse theme throughout the entire song. It sounds like a B-side off of Dookie. It
sounds like When You Come Around Part 2. That's kind of what I wrote in my notes there.
Yeah.
I do like the stereo effect to it. I think that is a really cool production standpoint. But like, a lot of albums do that. That's not like something new and interesting that they've done. I just like it when the stereo effect. I like the stereo effect when I'm listening to a record. Like, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's just a little piece of 90s pop punk, really.
Yeah. And I mean, like, for a first single, it kind of just screams like, yeah, you're going to hear a lot of songs that sound like Dookie. And that's kind of like what I get from it. I wouldn't have used this as a first single. I think it's good as like a second one.
Yeah, I think it's kind of upstaged by what's to come, but it's a song. It's a Green Day song. It has its place in their kind of lineage of songwriting. You can see the progression and it's one of the big themes with this album is that you can see where they could go, but they never actually go running towards like some of the different song structures or like the rock opera kind of deals, the storytelling that they used later.
I think part of it was like how old was Billy when the time of this record was written? Like, I just don't think they were mature enough to like know what they were doing. They were still kind of kids in a sense.
Yeah, I think they were just kind of carving out their little corner of music and doing what they did at this point, which makes it a really cool listen to follow up Dookie, especially knowing what's to come from the band. So it's easy to see these kind of themes with hindsight being 2020, but I can understand why in 1995 this could have felt like a little bit of a misstep.
And I mean, like, maybe because like sometimes I hate it when a band deviates from a different sound than what they have, and maybe some fans like this record just as much as Dookie. I just don't think it has the same sort of single power. It doesn't have the same singles as Dookie, though.
Yeah, I would agree. And that brings us into No Pride, which... I mean, every band ever has a song where they compare themselves to a dog, especially bands in the punk rock scene. So right off the bat, just, well, I am just a mutt and nowhere is my home. Like, I think even in 95, that might have been a little played out.
Yeah, it's still played out to this day. It's one of my favorite songs off the record, though. I will say that. I just think, like, I like the melody of it, and I like the flow.
Yeah, and I like the little bit of like fuck you energy that comes with it, where it seems to be a little bit of like a criticism of like the community that kind of pushed Green Day up and into the major label kind of radio ready world.
Yeah.
It's got that nice little bit of kind of dejection in there that I think pushes this to be one of the better songs on the album.
Yeah. I mean, you better swallow your pride or you're going to choke on it. You better digest your values because they turn to shit. Kind of like says that kind of says it all with that.
Exactly. They're big now, but they don't necessarily want to be they don't want to be criticized for that, which I can understand, especially at that time when this was like the twilight of kind of big budgets and making, millions and millions of dollars off of music like this. Like you can't really fault them for going with what they were able to do and kind of perfecting the art of the Green Day song between this and Dookie. Like, so this is a kind of great little like milepost, like a little marker in their career of being able to sit back and be like, listen, like you people all loved us 2 years ago and your support brought us to where we are and now we're here and you're going to turn around and call us sellouts. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, which the whole notion of selling out in punk rock is so frowned upon. Like everyone is like frowns upon it in every single sense, and I disagree with that.
Yeah, you can't
make a living off of punk cred. You can't pay your bills with punk points. Punk points don't like buy you food. You can't exchange them for like a car at the delership.
Yeah, clout doesn't actually get you anything besides, the opportunity, I guess, to go and make money. So you can't throw your weight behind a band and then as soon as it starts actually making you a living, turn around and criticize people for doing exactly what the goal was from the outset.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably have to get into that more in the song 86. But before we get into 86, it's Babs Uvula Who.
Which is, it's a song. It's here. I've got a knack for fucking everything up. My temper flies and I get myself all wound up. It's that quintessential Green Day kind of poetry. It's all about the rhyme. It's all about they
love the repetitiveness. I mean, I lose myself and I'm all wind up. Like that gets stuck in your head. And all the rhyming and repetitiveness. Billy Joel is really good at like structuring his songs that way.
Yeah, and the kind of callback to being wound up throughout the entire song is a nice little bit of like cohesion throughout the entire song.
And it kind of like makes you like when I'm in an anxious state, I'm like thinking of things repetitively and over again. And all the things that he says kind of gets me wound up as well. Like I lose control, I get myself all wound up. Tensions mount, I fly off the wall, I self-destruct, and I get myself all wound up. It kind of encapsulates what it feels like to be just at home, like anxious all the time.
Yeah, it was a quarantine anthem before quarantine anthems were a thing.
Yeah,
it makes sense. It's a decent song, which seems to be like the common theme throughout the entire album. It's just like, okay,
they're decent, but not great.
There's not much to push it over the edge. There's nothing there that you probably couldn't have gotten from like every other punk rock band in the 90s. It's just the production was a little bit better, and Billy Joel has like a really good kind of knack for catchy melodies, but it's
2 minutes long. It's a very short like song. There's not a lot of fat on this song, and that I keep saying that phrase, but it's so true though. Like this this album really just, it's trimmed in the very sense of like maybe how the songs are. I think there are some filler songs on this record that, I mean, if they probably could have like been without it. I mean, there's 14 songs on it.
Yeah, they cut right through and they keep it going, which is, again, interesting from a band that had already put out like a massive major label debut, to really kind of stick to that just concise, here's a song, here's another song, here's the next thing, it keeps going. It reminds me a lot of Touche Amore, actually, with the just get to the point, write the song, put it together, on to the next one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say out of all the albums that we have gone through so far, the other two, this is the best production-wise, and everything sounds very crispy on it.
Yeah, Rob Cavallo does a really good job. He has like signature sounds that he uses for different like subgenres of rock, but it's very clear that this is a Rob Cavallo production. I mean, everything is, yeah, like you said, crispy's the perfect word. It's in your face, but it's not totally and completely blown out in that super digital way that would come later. It's just, it's making the most of what he has available to him and the talent that he's working with at that particular time, and he does a really good job of carrying on, especially because when you talk about this album in terms of Dookie, it would have been really easy to either go with a super polished like late 90s pop kind of production, or for them to regress to more of that gritty kind of DIY punk aesthetic kind of sound.
Yeah,
and instead it's right on the money. There's not a lot that you can find fault-wise in the production on this album.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like last week's album, which, if you haven't listened to that episode, I would suggest we talked about Taking Back Sunday's Tell All Your Friends, which you had lots of production problems with.
Yeah, very much so.
But then again, this is, at this point, a more established band, and they put out the big album, and then this is the follow-up to it.
Exactly.
Which is usually how it goes. Next song, moving along, we have 86, which is essentially a big FU to the whole scene that they were part of beforehand.
Yeah, so apparently the story goes that the band puts out Dookie, and then there was a big venue that they used to play all the time in Southern California, which was called 924 Gilman.
That's in San Francisco, Northern California.
My bad, Bay Area. Oops.
Yeah, there's kind of a difference there.
There's a big difference there. But yeah, they basically when they put out Dookie, they were banned from this venue that had kind of supported them and brought them up to where they were now. So the song kind of deals with the idea of, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, the idea of being called a sellout, and what comes when the love of kind of a music community turns sour on you really quickly as soon as you're successful.
I mean, that's not uncommon for Gilman Street, from what I've heard. If you sell out, or if you are on a major label, they don't let you play there. They're pretty strict about that. It's all DIY, very much so. They've banned Jello Biafro from the Dead Kennedys. That's a perfect example of it. But Jello Biafro is kind of questionable in some ways. He has done a lot of questionable things, but they are very strict when it comes to banning bands, and like they want to keep it DIY, which I get it. I get that. I love the DIY scene, but also like I like the way that Billy puts it. He's like, there's no returning to 86. There's no returning from 86, which they started in 87 according to their Wikipedia page, but like maybe to Billy it was 86, which kind of brings it back to like the year that they founded the band, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, there's also the saying, like, if you're 86th, it's when you're kicked out. Like 86 this. I don't even know what the origin of that is. But yeah, it's kind of a funny little middle finger to people that are, especially at this point in Green Day's career, like that was a venue just losing out on business, really. Like the venue probably could have benefited greatly from a band of this stature wanting to play like their smaller kind of club venue, and they turned it away because of, you know, punk cred or whatever, which, okay, fine, but it is kind of funny to try, and if Green Day were to play that at this point in their career or now, that would be huge. Like, people would be pounding down the doors, people would be paying good money, and that could be huge business wise to keep a DIY venue like that open. And instead they decided to sit back and just be like, no, it's not what we're about. Which, that's your choice, man. Cool, but you're losing out on them checks.
I mean, but like, I think from what I've seen and read about Gilmore Street, it is a non-profit. So like, they're not making any money as it is. They're just doing it for like the culture of it.
I don't know how that's sustainable, but that's also pretty cool. So good on them, I guess.
And it's an all ages venue, which that is
sides to every story.
That is very uncommon in today's age, like an all ages DIY music venue, because most of them are 21 plus, 18 plus. So they're still doing their thing. Obviously not during this time, but back in the 90s, Green Day was banned from there for not just selling out, I guess. I think this would have been very funny. I think it would have been very funny if this was a single.
Yeah.
And I would have strongly encouraged them to put this as a single, because I think it would have been so funny. And I think it is single material from the way that the song is structured and how catchy it is.
I would agree.
It's one of the forgotten songs from their discography, I think.
Yeah, definitely overshadowed by some of the bigger hits that were to come or that came before. But yeah. I think we'll move it right along into Panic Song, which is a pretty nice little deep dive into the mind of people who suffer from panic attacks.
Yeah, I think this would have been a better opener in the album, to me at least.
I think it would have been thematically. It could have served that. It could have served that kind of perfectly.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you.
And according to this, Trey Cool tore the calluses on his hand while recording the instrumental intro, and in between takes his hands were just resembled a bloody mess.
I'm not shocked. I mean,
like, they went hard on that intro.
Yeah, the drumming all over this is, we talked about it earlier, it's just absolutely insane, but it's also it's a behemoth of a song. For this band at this time, and especially with just that lyrical kind of consistency and cutting straight to the point. And it's just like a nice little, it's a great exploration of two guys, Billy Joe and Mike Dirnt, who both kind of went through a lot of anxiety, I think, with the transition to being like a massive major label band, but
and just being rock stars in general.
Yeah. And then also dealing with like what came just before that, being in like a punk band is not, Green Day is not the best example of this, because they just went to insane stardom levels, but it's not exactly a financially secure route to take as far as jobs are concerned and stuff. Like, I think it's a well-timed song for where the band was at. And yeah, that instrumental at the beginning I think that's what the song kind of coasts on as a whole, but it's worth the listen. I love that.
It is. I think it's one of the highlights of this record for sure. Better served as an opener, but like, it also, I like how it kind of breaks the album apart, like from the first half to the second half of it.
I agree. Yeah, it's got that nice kind of that midway. If you were to flip the record over, right?
Yeah,
it's a great little reintroduction. If you took a break between halves of the album or whatever, flip it over, you start this. This is a great kind of like right back into it kind of song. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's well calculated. I originally said it, like, I thought the intro dragged a little too long for me. But I think it serves definitely a purpose, and I think for what it is, like, it's not that long.
I would agree. That brings us to Stewart and the Avenue.
This is where the first thing I wrote was, this feels fillerish to me, and it doesn't bring any substance to this record.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a...
it's a misstep.
Yeah, a little bit of a breakup song, a little bit of just it does feel like one of those songs where you need to round out the album. You need to have enough songs to make it an LP, especially when so many of the other songs are so short. Yeah, it's not my favorite song that the band's ever done. It's riddled with cliches. Ripping up a photograph of you. Destiny is dead.
Oh man.
Seasons change as well as minds. We're all fucked up. Like, okay.
It's a little cringy. Like, there are parts in this song that or just parts in this record where I'm just like, okay, we get it. You have anxiety. Like, can we just move on?
Yeah, you gotta saying the same thing over and over again, or not bringing anything new to the table is, that's usually pretty easy to determine, I think. And yeah, they could have cut this one, or they could have made a better song if they had maybe given this one a little bit more time or something. But yeah, Stewart and the Avenue, it's there. It's
I don't
think it like slows the album to a stop or anything. Like, it doesn't really mess up too much of the flow, but it
doesn't, but I think you don't need it on a record like this. There's already, you can have a 14 or like a 13 song album, and maybe there are a couple other songs on this record that I would probably cut too, but that is one that would be in the cut category for me.
Yeah, but then they come back...
or just put it in, like, the deluxe version of this. Release, like, a deluxe version and put that in, if you really like it that much. And then...
I can see. But it's brought... It's followed up by still one of the band's biggest songs, Brain Stew.
Yeah. Which is if you go to any Green Day live show, which I haven't seen Green Day. Have you?
I have not.
But... I'm pretty sure both of us have watched Jesus of Suburbia and like Saint Jimmy, or like, what was that one that was like they came out with
concert DVD?
Yeah.
Bullet in a Bible.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a great live album.
That's one of the best live albums. Every once in a while I
still bop that one. That's awesome.
That's one of the best tracks from that live album, I would say.
Yep, it's rightfully so. It's just another example of this band when they are able to just cut straight to the point and they just get right into it. They have that quick little stuttering guitar part right at the beginning that just goes, it really kind of complements that first verse, and then to have the band drop in with a quick refrain of just like, on my own, here we go.
It's so simple, but it's done so well, and a lot of bands tried to write like a simple song like this, but like fail at it. So props to them. Props to Green Day for knowing how to write like a really good pop song.
Yeah, they did the thing, and then this one just bleeds right in. It has that quick little segue at the end of the song right into Jaded.
Before we go into that, there's a fun fact about Brain Stew. So like after 9/11, Brain Stew was placed on Clear Channel's list of post 9/11 inappropriate titles. The song is actually about Armstrong dealing with insomnia, but it was actually supposed to be called Insomniac, and Brain Stew is just a reference to Armstrong's friend James Washburn, whose nickname was Brain Stew, or is Brain Stew.
Oh my God.
The post 9/11 world. Which
they couldn't. Jimmy Eat World had to change for a while there. Bleed American was called their self-titled album because they decided that Bleed American was too controversial. Like that. I think both of us were probably a little bit too young to really remember any of that kind of stuff going on. But, going back and digging into some of the history of alternative music in particular, when you start looking into like Tipper Gore and some of the like Clear Channel cancellations, just what were we looking to accomplish?
It was they just wanted to censor everything, man.
Yeah, I'd rather listen to Brain Stew than God Bless America for the 1.5 million time. Like, what are we? This that whole era, especially that for those first couple of years after 9/11, is just me. Like, you can kind of see where people's heads were at and what they were trying to accomplish by doing things like this. But then you think about it really critically for a second, and you're like, that's not in any way productive.
Like, people were just living in fear at that time.
And fully and totally giving into that fear.
Yeah, I mean, there were. I'm like looking at the list right now of like songs that like were not appropriate after 9/11, and like some of them are just ridiculous. Like Alien Ant Farm's cover of "Smooth Criminal" like is included with that list. The Beatles' "A Day in the Life," "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds," "Ticket to Ride" by the Beatles.
It's like in this kind of same era, leading into the 2000s, when people were really coming hard after like Marilyn Manson and Slipknot and stuff. It's like, oh, they use horror movie imagery. Oh no, think of the children.
I mean, there's been that like forever. I mean, look at the 70s with Alice Cooper. Like, no one died from an Alice Cooper show. No one died from a Marilyn Manson show.
Yeah, it's just like the complete and utter like fear mongering that happens just because, like, why does it even happen? What's the I don't get it. We're gonna cancel Brain Stew by Green Day in the wake of a terrorist attack. That'll show them. Like, come on.
Well, and then we got the ultimate, hindsight's 2020 here, but like, and then in 2004 we had the ultimate like FU to like George W. Bush and like all of that with like American Idiot.
Just a massive fuck you to that entire kind of system. And it's still a thing that happens, you know, it happens we watched it happen in American politics last night too.
Yeah.
Like, there's such a weird thing of like the apparatus around our political system here has so much like whataboutism and decides to go after like the wrong thing. Like 9/11 happens and we're going to cancel Green Day songs and make Jimmy Eat World change the name of their album, and we're going to tell people that they can't listen to certain music. Like, aren't there bigger fish to fry? Like, didn't we just have a major attack on Americans? No, this is how we're going to deal. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, like instead of listening to songs that might so happen to mention bullet or gun or dust in it.
Or in more modern times, we're going to, players are going to kneel on the field because there are racial injustices in this country, and we're going to start talking about the military? Okay. Like, that was not the point at all, but that's the conversation that we want to have because why? No reason. Okay, well.
And I mean, in no way is this song like a protest song of any sort. It's just a song about just not being able to sleep.
Insomnia.
Yeah, insomnia.
And in classic Green Day fashion.
But I like how at the very end of this song, like, it goes into this big ending. I think this would have been a fantastic ending to the record, personally, but I also like how it transitions
into Jaded
seamlessly. Like, I love when a record does that. That's one of my favorite, like, I don't know, like, you got, like, it's one of my favorite tropes, or I got a soft spot for that.
Exactly. And it's just 1 minute and 30 seconds of, Green Day doing Green Day things. It's
the exact
punk rock, and it's catchy, and
it's the exact opposite of Brain Stew in a sense.
Yeah.
Part of my notes I wrote, I was like, we get it, you're going nowhere. And yeah, like a 9 to 5 really sucks. Yeah, we get it. But like,
yeah.
Also, Billy, have you ever worked a 9 to 5?
Yeah, right. Like, was that a thing that this band was going through? Like,
are you just like writing to try to score some punk points to try to relate to people, or did you actually have that happen to you? Right. And are they actually being authentic and true to themselves, or are they trying to play off and try to win some points with people? I don't know what it is. I mean, I'll say with the last 2 records, you can sense the with Tell All Your Friends and also the Menzingers, you can sense them being very authentic. Some of the parts just feels a little unauthentic to me, and Billy doesn't know quite what he's talking about.
Yeah, I would agree. But that brings us into Westbound Sign.
Yes, which sounds like a song that could have been on Kerplunk.
Yeah, it's just it's a very basic. Okay, it's Green Day. It's drug use and singing about girls.
Well, it's about his wife moving to California with him, so that's cool. Yeah. Kind of an ode to her, but I guess for Billy it means something. For us, like, I would probably take this one out. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah,
it just seems like filler to me.
Yeah, so I think we can move right over into Tightwad Hill.
Yes.
What a name.
First thing I wrote was filler alert. It doesn't need to be here.
Yeah, it's just it seems a little bit like that kind of suburban kid stuck in his own town kind of feel. Just killing time and writing songs about it, because that's what you do when you're like a suburban kid.
Apparently it's about talks about how activities teens once did, like getting high, are no longer fun anymore. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of like that growing up song, like, oh yeah, like it sucks growing up and, you know, nothing's fun anymore. Yeah, everything sucks.
It kind of sets the blueprint for Blink-182 a couple of years later, I think. But yeah, I would say that this one is filler. The back half of this album does kind of leave you feeling that way.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about this song. There's no substance to it. It doesn't add anything. I think it's not necessary and it might sound like we're trashing this album completely. We're both Green Day fans. We both like this album.
Yeah.
At least I speak for myself. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I think it's a decent follow-up. It's pretty good.
We haven't talked about Walking Contradiction, which I love the music video for this song.
Agreed.
Agreed. I think it's one of the funniest music videos. In case you haven't seen that, it's basically all this chaos happening while they're like all walking down the street and they're just destroying a whole neighborhood, which I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, and is this one of the ones? I think they might still play this every once in a while.
I'm not sure, but this was the 5th single from this album and the last one that they released as a single. I would have put this as like the 3rd single. I think it's a good single. Put out by the band. One of the better ones for sure.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the singles that still is, I'm not sure it still gets a bunch of radio play or anything like that, but it's there. It's one of the great examples on this album of just like great Green Day songs, Green Day doing Green Day things.
Yeah, and it leaves the album on a high note for sure.
Yeah, they definitely dropped off a little bit on the back half of the album, but they did manage to end this on a song that is, you know, a great kind of like I said earlier, it's a good mile marker.
Yeah.
For where the band is at, where they can go.
Like if they ended this album with Tightwad Hill, I think I would probably think a little differently about it.
Yeah.
I would have a different impression, but I think that is they end on a high note. They start on kind of a this album has peaks and valleys on it for sure.
Very much so.
And Walking Contradiction was described as an anthem for anyone who is chafed against the bounds of demographical correct, computer-coded, image concise mid-90s, whatever that means.
I think it's just kind of it's a little bit of a narrative about, you know, what we've talked about earlier. Like this was a band that was just like a punk band that a lot of people loved and they kind of blew up, and now all of a sudden, you know, after Dookie, in a lot of people's minds, even still today, you know, people think about punk rock and they think, oh, like Green Day.
Yeah.
Like that's...
I mean, they're the quintessential punk band.
Yeah, so coming to terms with that in the form of a song, you get Walking Contradiction.
Yeah.
And I think they do a pretty good job of kind of defining that throughout the course of the song. So, like we said, ends on a high note for sure.
All right, now let's give our final thoughts of this record.
The big question.
Does
it hold up?
So for me, this record is Dookie Part 2 without any of the major hits. It's very polished production-wise for the time period, and there were some clear filler songs on this record, at least 2 that we can mention off the top of my head, with A Tight Ward and maybe Westbound Sign. Of course, that meant a lot to Billy, but I think as a fan perspective and also a music industry professional, it's kind of filler.
Yeah.
It's funny because like Billy came out and said Insomniac did a lot better than I thought it was going to do. From the sound of it, we knew it wasn't going to sell as much as Dookie. So even Billy knew, we this isn't our best like album. This isn't our best work. And I think maybe at the time they were kind of spinning the tires a little bit too much. They didn't really hone their craft. They were too busy. They were touring nonstop. They toured Dookie nonstop. They were playing every single festival possible. Like they paid like Woodstock, like 94, I believe.
94, yeah.
Yeah. Which that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And I'm happy that they were able to do that. Probably Bamboozle in there and like a couple other ones. But I think they just were touring too much, and it didn't really do anything for the creative process for them.
Yeah, I would say it does hold up though. It's a nice kind of it works kind of nicely with Dookie as a follow up. It still sounds really good. It's got all the things that make a Green Day album for better and for worse. And you can hear the bits and pieces that the band would continue using right up until this day. So I think it does have it sounds a little bit hyperbolic to call it like a classic sound, I guess, but it is, this is a sound that the band still works with, and it still sells hundreds of thousands of records every time. Like
they do have that definitive sound, which a lot of other bands can't really say that they have. Yeah. As far as like guitar tone and everything like that. Is it fair to compare it to In Utero? I don't think so.
No.
Like
not in impact or in difference of sound. Definitely not.
I mean, I think Billy Joe Armstrong is a great songwriter, and nothing to take it away from him, but he is not Kurt Cobain or Dave Grohl. Yeah,
neither of them. But they have their corner, and that corner is pretty huge. So they're doing something right.
For me, I would say this album doesn't hold up, for me at least.
All right. Yeah. I think it's not a strong holds up, but I think just given everything that came after this and everything else, I think it does hold up for me.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Because I would have guessed that you would say it doesn't hold up.
No, it's not breaking the mold. It's nothing huge, but I think, this band could release this album today and it would still be, a Green Day album.
They're always going to sell records no matter what.
Especially at this point. So, yeah, I'm all right. with it. I'll say it holds up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, any other final thoughts?
To the bottom of it.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I think we killed that one pretty well. Do we have recommendations this week?
Ooh, recommendations. Go watch Jeff Rosenstock's performance on. He did it a late night. The older I get, the more and more I relate to Jeff Rosenstock and just his disdain for where this country is going and just how everything is. But True. he performed on Seth Meyers the other night. He performed his new song Scram. Love his new record. Love that song. It's perfect punk music for today's climate and what is going on. And if he can do a performance in a mask, you can wear your effing mask too.
True.
I also think it's very funny how they green screened the bass player in, and they like do some like tricks with that. I think that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
Green screen shenanigans.
I'm gonna have to check that out. My recommendation this week is a YouTube channel called Riffs, Beards, and Gear. It's hosted by a guy who calls himself Fluff. He's from a hardcore band called Dragged Under. Anybody who's a gear nerd like me who loves guitars and amps and effects and recording and everything, He just seems like a really relatable, down-to-earth guy. He kind of gets right to the point with a lot of his videos. They're never more than probably 10 or 15 minutes long. And the guy just, it's really informative. It's really cool to watch him break down some of, comparisons between guitars or between effects units or little how-tos on recording things and whatever. He's awesome. Go check him out.
I'm surprised it's not the latter, the original Vanna lineup.
Oh, we'll get there. I'm waiting for them to make an actual announcement about the band name and stuff, which I actually know, and I'm very excited.
Did they release the song, or is it still like a snippet?
No, they just put out a teaser. They just put out a teaser on Instagram.
Because I've seen that teaser, and honestly, like, I wasn't even into like Vanna or that type of music back in the day, and it honestly has me a little excited.
Yeah, a little curious.
Awesome. I'm just like, what are they gonna do?
I think what they're going to be putting out is going to be pretty awesome, and it's gonna be new, but it's going to be impressive. What they're still able to do as a unit, even though they haven't been playing as a unit for a while. So yeah, we'll get to that when they actually announce and put up some music and stuff. That will definitely be on a future recommendation. But yeah, for right now, riffs, beards, and gear. All right. So I think that's it. I think this is this week's episode of the Packy Run podcast.
Yeah. Tune in next week. Give us recommendations for future records to look at and see if it holds up. Or maybe we'll come up with another poll and have you guys decide what we talk about.
Democracy in action. Follow us on all of our social media stuff. Make sure that you like and subscribe to us on your podcast player of choice. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.